Tonight, we're diving into a celestial landmark that you probably think you know. It's a guide, it's a clock, and it's a history book written in the stars. We're going way beyond the Big Dipper to uncover the real secrets of the Great Bear, Ursa Major.
So let's just start with a simple question. When you go outside on a clear night and you look up, what's that one star pattern that you almost always look for first? For most of us, at least in the Northern Hemisphere, it's got to be this one.
The Big Dipper, right? Of course. But here's the kicker, the really crucial point. The Dipper isn't actually a constellation, not by itself. It's what we call an asterism, which is just a fancy word for a really obvious pattern of stars that forms just one part of a much, much bigger picture.
So here's our roadmap for today. We'll kick things off by properly meeting the Great Bear. Then we'll see how it's an amazing celestial navigation tool. After that, we'll take a tour of the Dipper's actual stars, then use it as a window into deep space, and we'll wrap up with some of the incredible myths of the Great Bear. Okay, first things first, let's properly introduce the star of our show. It's time to see the whole cosmic creature that's hiding behind that familiar Dipper shape we all know and love.
So Ursa Major, that's just Latin for the Great Bear. And it really is great. I mean, it is the third largest constellation in the entire night sky. It takes up over 3% of the celestial sphere. And while, yeah, the Dipper is its most famous part, the full constellation is this huge, sprawling collection of stars. And it really puts on its best show on clear spring nights in March and April.
You know, for thousands of years, Ursa Major wasn't just for stargazing. It was a critical tool for survival, for exploration. You could say it was humanity's very first GPS.
And finding your way with it is surprisingly simple. It's really just a two-step trick. First, you find the two stars at the end of the Dipper's bowl. Their names are Merak and Dubhe, but everyone calls them the pointers. Then you just draw an imaginary line through them and keep it going away from the bowl. And bam! That line points you directly to Polaris, the North Star, your anchor in the night sky.
But hold on, the Dipper has more than one trick up its sleeve. The handle is every bit as useful as the bowl. All you have to do is follow the curve of the handle, just let your eyes sweep in a gentle arc away from the Dipper. And you get this classic little rhyme that stargazers have used for ages. Arc to Arcturus, then speed on to Spica. That curve points you straight to Arcturus, the brightest star in the constellation Boötes, and if you just keep that line going, you'll land right on Spica, the brightest star in Virgo. It's a legitimate roadmap written in the stars.
Okay, so we've used the Dipper as a map. Now, let's zoom in and really look at the stars themselves, because these aren't just random points of light. They're more like a family, and they've got a really fascinating story. Now, what's so cool about this is the history that's baked right into these names. Almost all of them have ancient Arabic origins, and they're describing parts of the bear. Dubhe is the bear, Merak is the loins, Fecta is the thigh. It's an incredible connection back to the astronomers who mapped all this out centuries ago. All right, here is a mind-blowing fact for you. The Big Dipper is not a permanent fixture in our sky. 5 of its 7 main stars are actually related. They form something called a moving group. They're a real stellar family, born from the same cloud of gas and dust, all traveling in the same direction through space. But the 2 end stars, Dubhe at the bowl and Alcaic at the tip of the handle, they're just interlopers. They're photobombing the family portrait and moving in completely different directions. And all that different motion has a real consequence, at least over cosmic time. The pattern we see tonight is temporary. 100,000 years ago, our ancestors looked up and saw something that was shaped more like a spearhead. And 100,000 years from now, as Dubhe and Alcaic just keep drifting away, the Dipper is going to be stretched out into a new shape we wouldn't even recognize. Let's focus on one last star story. Take a look at Mizar, the middle star in the handle. Right next to it is a fainter little companion star, Alcor. For centuries, being able to see both of those stars as separate points of light, they called it the horse and rider, was a traditional test for sharp vision. What's amazing is that Mizar itself, the horse, turned out to be one of the very first double stars ever discovered with a telescope way back in the 17th century. So we've looked at the stars of Ursa Major, but now we're going to look through them into the just absolutely unfathomable depths of the universe that lie beyond. You see, this patch of the sky is an absolute treasure trove for astronomers. We're looking past the Dipper to find amazing galaxies like M81 and M82, which are cosmic neighbors to our own Milky Way. We can see the gorgeous spiral of the Pinwheel Galaxy, M101. We can even see the ghost of a dying star right here in our own galaxy, the Owl Nebula. We've even found planets orbiting other suns in this direction. It's packed. All right, look at this number. 13.4 billion. What in the world could that possibly represent? That is the number of years that the light from a galaxy called GNZ11 has been traveling through space to reach us. And it was found right here, in the direction of Ursa Major. Now, since light takes time to travel, looking at this galaxy means we are seeing it as it was 13.4 billion years ago, when the universe was just an infant. We are literally looking back to the dawn of time. And this is exactly why astronomers pointed the Hubble Space Telescope at a tiny, seemingly empty patch of sky right here in Ursa Major. The result was the famous Hubble Ultra Deep Field, an image that contains thousands of galaxies, revealing the true scale of the cosmos in a way nothing ever had before. Whew, after that trip to deep space, let's bring it back to Earth for a minute and explore the human stories that we've told about these very same stars for millennia. The most famous story probably comes from the ancient Greeks. It tells of a nymph, Callisto, who was turned into a bear by a jealous goddess. Years later, her own son, Arcas, is about to hunt her, not knowing it's his own mother. To prevent this tragedy, Zeus swoops in and places both of them into the sky, where they become the Great and Little Bears, Ursa Major and Ursa Minor. This story always leads to a great question. Real bears don't have long tails, so why does the constellation? Well, the myth says that Zeus grabbed Callisto by her tail to swing her into the sky, and that stretched it out. But here is where it gets absolutely fascinating. Paleontologists have actually discovered the fossil of an ancient, bear-like creature called a Titanides, which actually had a long tail. It's this strange case of science echoing myth. So from a simple navigation tool to a family of stars in motion. From ancient myths all the way to a window that shows us the birth of the universe itself. The next time you look up and you spot that familiar shape, what will you see? Will you see a simple dipper, or will you see a doorway to the entire cosmos?